The Robe by Lloyd C. Douglas is a historical novel first published in 1942. Centered on the crucifixion of Jesus, it became one of the best-selling books of the 1940s, spending nearly an entire year atop the New York Times bestseller list. Douglas, formerly a minister, did not pursue writing as a profession until he left the ministry at the age of 52. His literary work, which includes short stories, essays, and novels, draws heavily on religious themes and his theological background. At the heart of the Robe is a Roman tribune who comes into possession of Jesus' robe following the crucifixion. The novel blends fictional and historical figures, including Emperor Tiberius and his adopted grandson Caligula, nicknamed Little Boots, as well as biblical characters such as Peter and John. The story begins with Marcellus, a Roman tribune, who finds himself in political trouble after laughing at Prince Gaius during a dinner. As punishment, he is sent to command a garrison in Manoa, a place typically reserved for the disgraced or soon-to-be exiled. While stationed there, Marcellus is ordered to travel to Jerusalem during the Passover, an assignment that coincides with the crucifixion of Jesus. Though he is responsible for overseeing the execution, Marcellus feels conflicted, suspecting Jesus' innocence. Afterward, he wins Jesus' robe in a gambling game. When he is taunted into wearing it, he experiences a sudden and overwhelming despair, prompting him to remove it immediately. Diana, who is in love with Marcellus, intervenes on his behalf and successfully petitions Emperor Tiberius to end his exile. Upon returning home, Marcellus remains haunted by his role in the crucifixion and is sent to Athens to recover his health. There, with the help of his slave Demetrius, he touches the robe again, which mysteriously restores his well-being. Both men then begin a journey of discovery, seeking to learn more about Jesus and his teachings. Tiberius, believing the robe to be cursed or supernatural, orders Marcellus to investigate further. Marcellus travels through Galilee, meeting many of Jesus' followers, some of whom had been healed by him, and gradually undergoes a personal transformation. Ultimately, Marcellus converts to Christianity. His conversion sparks outrage among Roman authorities. Tiberius presents Marcellus with an ultimatum. He must choose between Diana and his newfound faith. Marcellus chooses to follow Jesus. Not long after, Tiberius dies and Caligula ascends to the throne. Caligula announces plans to marry Diana, but she flees and later converts to Christianity as well. Marcellus is arrested for refusing to renounce his beliefs and is sentenced to death. Before his execution, he frees Demetrius, who escapes with instructions to deliver the robe to Simon Peter. Diana stands with Marcellus at the end, committed to sharing his fate and crossing into the next life together. In Douglas's narrative, the robe is not portrayed as a magical artifact, but as a profound symbol of Christ's life and message. Characters who embrace Christianity do not do so with fanfare or moral superiority. Rather, their faith is expressed through quiet compassion, empathy, and personal transformation. Douglas emphasizes the inner changes brought about by belief rather than outward displays of religiosity. In a reflection published in the New York Times, Catholic priest and best-selling author Andrew M. Greeley recounted the deep impact the robe had on him. I was in 8th grade, 14 years old, when I read Lloyd C. Douglas's novel The Robe, a story about the Roman officer who crucified Jesus and won his seamless robe in a toss of the dice. Douglas's tale of Marcellus, the officer, Demetrius, his slave, and Diana, his love, had an enormous influence on me. The Robe was the first adult novel I had ever read. It changed my mind about religion, about fiction, and about the possible relationship between the two. Douglas was a transition between the adventure stories of childhood, including, I confess it, The Hardy Boys, and the classics of young adulthood. We didn't have teenagers in those days. I continued to reflect on the relationship between religion and fiction through the years, especially as I devoured in high school so-called Catholic novelists who were much discussed in the Roman Catholic Church in my young adulthood. Graham Greene, Evelyn Waugh, Francois Mauriac, George Bernanos, Leon Bloy. Finally, almost 40 years later, when I turned to storytelling of my own, it was a result of a long intellectual and imaginative process that had started with reading The Robe. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this video, leave a like and subscribe.